Hey everyone, welcome back to Sports Forensics and Picks. I'm Matt alongside John here, and we are going to be discussing NFL Week 5 today. It couldn't be more exciting, and a lot of great games, but it starts off with a game in London. The New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are technically the home team, and they are currently favored by 2.5 points. I personally love the Vikings in this game, even though it's across the pond and anything can happen. But as you said, John, it's 9:30 a.m. Eastern time kick, and it is a 6:30 a.m. pick for or kick for Californians out there, and that's just so early. So you gonna watch that one live or what?
It probably. I'm not so sure I'll be up at 6:30 for it, but
Mhm.
yeah, I probably will. I'll enjoy my coffee with that. Plus, we'll be working on. We'll have the information on the inactives for the week, and so I'll be working on any upgrades or downgrades based on this video that we're doing now.
Yeah, so we'll have another video coming out roughly an hour before the early game kick window, upgrading and downgrading our picks. John will most likely do that video himself, and make sure you keep an eye out for that as well because that's when typically. I know last week your video was literally gold, dominated pretty
You
much
should
every.
link to it.
Yeah,
Here's why I was in Vegas, as you know, for the weekend, and I was just assuming that, gosh, you know what, we're probably gonna have a big correction on JP's prognostication because we had such an awesome Saturday, including money lining both Kentucky and Colorado, and then so it was a great day, all things considered, for
yeah,
college, and so I was a little bit hungover, to be
yeah,
honest, when I did
yeah.
that, and I looked like crap. That's why I made sure I look a
Oh
little
man,
more Hollywood today
looking good.
for this. But bottom line is, yeah, I didn't realize how, if you want to call it prophetic or pathetic, no matter what, it was a little bit of both.
Hmm.
But yeah, be on the lookout for that because since we started doing those, we've been shining a light on ESPN, their media bias, and how they try to push you into
Mhm.
certain plays, and now we're 3-0 against those idiots. So that's kind of cool.
I love that. So do you have a take on that game, the Jets and the Vikes?
I from a forensic standpoint, no,
Mhm. Seems like
not
a pretty fair line.
whatsoever. Yeah, it's a fair line. I I I think the Vikings are the real deal. They've got a great coach. They've got a great scheme on both sides of the ball. But I also know that it's a game that they've obviously been trying to grow internationally for about a decade now, and they have a good handful of games out there each year. And so, not that I think that this would be a very low handle game in America where most of the money's bet. So it's not like there's going to be anything cheesy. But having said that, they need to market the game. And right now, a better way to do that is through New York,
The New
the
York.
Jets,
Mhm.
Aaron Rodgers, and like even young studs like Brees Hall. So I actually like personally the Jets, but that's just me liking them. I see nothing wrong with this line. It's going to be a very low handle game because nobody's going to be up for it, especially out here
Vegas.
in Los Angeles. So that's what I got. So, but the Vikings, they earned their stripes. We called last week that they were going to win. And end
Yeah.
of the week undefeated, but I could definitely see them dropping this one. But I'm not sticking it out on this game.
Yeah, I'm not personally putting any money on this game. Let's talk about the next one. Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears. The Bears are a 4-point favorite currently.
What do you like on this one? I want to hear your take
You know,
because
it's
this one's
interesting. So
interesting.
you have the Carolina Panthers who literally get destroyed week 1 against the Saints. We think the Saints are amazing. They might not be, right? Carolina doesn't show up against the Chargers week 2. And then week 3, they beat a Raiders team that just beat the Ravens the previous week. So
Yeah,
very
but we
difficult.
called that. We called that on this channel.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
that. Okay.
absolutely. You knew it was coming. I personally did not. But either way, um, that being said, it's just there's such a you can't predict them. And I don't know. Last week wasn't. they lose by what, 10 points against the Bengals, so they don't cover that. The Bengals finally look good again. I think, forensically, I think the Bears are the pick. The Bears at home. Obviously Caleb Williams isn't that strong yet, but the Bears do find a way to win games, and I think I'm on the Bears this week. Not gonna
I'm not at all.
really.
And you use the term forensically. The game I do believe has a lot to it. A couple points here. Yes, Carolina is on paper and on the field probably worse than the Bears. But remember, Bears are at home, and they're only favored by home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. So 4 points. If this game were in Carolina, what it's saying is that Carolina would be a 4-point favorite.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a 4-point favorite at home against the Bears. So I like Carolina. I like the points in this. I don't like Carolina on the money line, however, because on Bovada, last glance, it was plus 175. That's way too big a number for 4 points. For me, 4 points, I think 150 plus 150 to 160 is a buy price there. And so I actually like the points, but the Bears at minus 210 on the money line, that's what you have to pay to collect on the Bears. Don't expect them to cover that spread because everyone and his brother is on it. This is a Joe bet if you're laying for.
You heard it here first, guys. I am Joe Better on that one.
Yeah, unless you're Joe Collector.
Yeah.
I mean, just last week on that the last thing. I mean, I think we pretty much ran the gambit on the update until the very last one when I was talking about San Francisco being a 10-point favorite at home over the horrible Patriots, and I said,
Yeah.
look, everyone in the world, Joe is taking those minus 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I upgraded the points. I said, however, I would take San Francisco if they were minus 14 and a half.
Right.
So that was just a function of Vegas simply not knowing what they were dealing with. And so they took a bath on that game. That was the one game that I actually missed. And it was because it wasn't enough points for me to want to take
Right.
Frisco. So it's like an inverted yield curve.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I see the same type of thing. So we got to be careful because it's such a fine line where you see that something's amiss, and sometimes you'll pivot one way because you want to be on the opposite side of Joe, but in the reality, it's just Vegas actually being wrong, not close enough, and not aggressive enough to attract more money on the other side. And so, oh well. Anyway, that was the one game I missed, but for the wrong reason, because I knew that San Francisco, I would have taken them minus 14 and a half. They won by 17, but I wouldn't have taken them at 10. And so we got to be careful of that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was an interesting game. I think it ended up, it was 27-13, which is actually my pick for that game. And of course they kick a field goal at the end there, so I don't get the perfect score pick in that one. So that could have been cool, but what are you going to do, right?
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah. Baltimore Ravens coming off a big win against the Bills on Monday Night Football. At the Bengals here. The Bengals, as discussed, just beat the Panthers a week ago by 10 points or so. And we are showing Baltimore right now a favorite by 2.5 points on the road. So if we flip that home field, John, what's the how many points would the Ravens be favored by at home?
Well, I mean, that would be 10. They'd be 10-point home favorites, in which case I would take the Ravens. But there's a caveat here. When you're talking about under a field goal, it's kind of a dead zone when you have teams like this. So if it's like, say, 1 or 2, I mean, when there's a lot of parity there, it can be different. This is what I'm getting at. When you look at it from this end, the Ravens, if they're going to win, they pretty much have to win by a field goal or more. Just in the way the better psyche works. So if they're going to win, they're going to win by a field goal. So -2 isn't this on the road isn't the same as -10 at home.
Yeah.
You follow?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know, if they're a good enough team to win, they'll win, whether it's at home or on the road. So sometimes, there's baked into kind of the math and the system, just this because they understand our psychology.
Mhm.
And I actually do like the Bengals because there's enough
'Cause
disparity between these two teams. And again, Baltimore, I don't care how many games they've lost, they're still the Baltimore Ravens, and they still smoked your Buffalo Bills on TV
Mhm.
in prime time.
Oh, yeah.
And so the money's going to be on the Ravens because
Yep.
all they have to do is win by a field goal. And I believe that that aspect transcends the home field advantage in there because that's just simply not something that Joe Better takes into account when they see this. They see this not as home field versus on the road. They see it as Baltimore's a much better team and you only need to win by a field goal to cover. So I'll take them. So I won't. I like the
Right.
Bengals. Give
Yeah,
me
from
those
that
points.
perspective, that makes a ton of sense. And like you said, anybody is obviously going to be on Baltimore on this one, and it's just it's like, what does Vegas want you to do? It's too obvious, right? So I think that's why the Bengals are the pick in this one.
Yeah, and if Baltimore wins, you know what? Hey, great. They should, but
Yeah,
bottom line is Vegas is going to lose a good chunk on that.
yeah,
Period.
yeah. Which why they're not going to set it up that way. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, if that were the case, it would probably be like -3.5 because there's a
Yeah.
huge difference
Oh
between
yeah.
-3.5 on the
Yeah.
road
Hook.
and -2.
Three and a
Huge.
half.
Three and a half.
So Buffalo at Houston. Buffalo. I'm actually showing Houston is -1 or -1.5 at this point. What are you showing on
Yeah,
Buffalo?
minus 1.5. I think this is a good line. And
Yeah.
again, this is a 10 o'clock game. This is where most of the games are played. And on Sunday, when you have the you know the big group of games going, those tend to be much lower handle games because it's not the only game going. I think this is a very, very fair line. I think they cooked whatever they need to into it. Bottom line is whoever wins is going to cover,
Mhm.
and I think either team
Mhm.
can win and cover. Houston has a much more competitive balance in their division. Buffalo can pretty much yawn their way into the playoffs. And so, for that reason, I kind of just see, and we saw both. We all know who Josh Allen is,
Mhm.
and we all know who CJ Stroud is. And so I think this is going to be for me, the play in this game is is a lot of points, but I don't even like that because 47 to me looks way too gettable for
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
For me, 51.5 is gettable. If this were like a 53.5 point line, I would say take the over. So I'm not even going to touch anything on this game, but to me, the most likely, if there is any type of forensic play with this, and given the size of the slate on the 1 o'clock Eastern games, I believe that the biggest moneymaker for Vegas would be the under on 47. So I think that the big play, Joe, is going to take this game over and
Mhm.
over and over. And when that happens, it tends to be a loser, loser, loser.
Mhm.
But I'm staying away from the game because even 47 is a lot of points. Both teams
Yeah.
have decent defenses, but their offenses, again, they will transcend that. And so it's just too much. There's just too much work, too many working parts here for me to get a really good grab enough to know that Vegas is getting a really good grab on Joe Better. So let's just enjoy that game.
Cool. Let's enjoy it. I'm not picking it either. Although I'm probably on the Bills.
You are, of course, you're. Oh, you
Oh
know
my!
what? You're already emotionally invested.
I can't.
That
Cannot be.
makes me like the Bills. No, right there. That makes me like the Bills because you're not putting it out for your team, and they did just get whooped on prime time, and so and they are. It's a pick 'em basically.
Yeah.
So you
It's
know
been
what?
strange too, John, because you were very bullish on the Texans a couple weeks, and they haven't been quite what they were last year. And I think we're still waiting to see when do they get back to that form. And it could be this week. You know what I mean? It's just waiting for that when they finally turn it on, when Stroud finally gets cooking for real, and when Hank Dell finally is back making plays again, So we'll see. We're without Joe Mixon again this week, I believe, for the Texans. So, you know, it's just going to be a good game, I think, and we'll see what happens and enjoy it.
That's a great point. I mean, this really is kind of legit. And the way the Bills lost last week, maybe they're just going to handwrite it for a while, but they're not going to do that against the Texans. So yeah, we're going to enjoy this one. But yeah, with the health situation in Houston in their backfield, that's definitely a reason not to be bullish on them. But they are favored technically. So if the money moves in any way tomorrow, this might be a game that you see on an update. If it goes to
Yeah,
3 points for Houston, you'll see me upgrade them, and you'll see instantly I'm betting them. I'm on them.
yeah,
So, but right now, yeah, we're out on this one.
cool. Next game is the Indianapolis Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags are currently a 3-point favorite. We might be without Anthony Richardson. I think we are out. We're without Jonathan Taylor in that game for the Colts. So they're definitely banged up. We're going to get served with Joe Flacco, right, at quarterback, if he is out. But he's listed as questionable, so he probably will play Richardson, that is. But yeah, I really have no take on this game. I think neither of these teams really impressed me whatsoever, and just kind of I don't care. But obviously want to be right on the pick, but that's about it.
Actually, I like the Jags.
Get
And
off
I
the
took them
schneid.
last week with the points. I upgraded those points on
Yeah,
the Jag. They covered that, but they still haven't won.
right. Yeah,
They've got too good of a coach. They've got.
yeah.
Um,
Peterson's great. I mean, he's
I'm,
on the
I'm going
hot
to
seat,
take your
but
old boy Gabriel to step up and have a game as a receiver, maybe. But I like the Jags. This is a very very small confidence play for me, but I do like it. They're at home. They got to sell tickets,
mhm,
and it's
yeah,
too early to kiss that season goodbye. Even though I think that Peterson's really going to have that team humming much better after a bye week, but they need to get off the schneid, and I
yeah,
can see that happening tomorrow.
for sure. If not now, when? And if they're 0-5, that would be unprecedented for that team right now. That would not be good. So yeah, all right, we can go with the Jags. At least it's still three, not three and a hook. So that's not bad. But yeah, let's take them. Miami and New England in a battle of garbage football.
The
Uh,
toilet bowl.
yeah, toilet bowl. You said it. Right now, Miami's a 1-point favorite. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, is Huntley playing quarterback this week? Is he versus Brissett? When's May show up? You know, heard Ramondre Stevenson got benched because he fumbles all the time. That boy's on my fantasy team. You understand? One of my
Well,
fantasy.
I actually like it's funny how I've been just, of course, bashing and bashing the Patriots all year, and taking them at the right time. I think
Yeah,
one of those right times is this week.
nice.
So Miami, they're just in flux. They've got issues. They may just go on a losing streak,
Yeah,
just to kind of maybe lock up one of the very top picks so that they can replace
cool.
um, Tagovailoa in the crop of rookies next year in the draft. But so yeah, Brissett, okay, he's solid. He can run. He can actually manage a drive. I certainly wouldn't want him on my team, but he's good enough. But here's the difference in the game tomorrow. We're actually gonna have a new running back starting for the Patriots. Ramondre, he's a little bit of fumbleitis, so he
Mhm.
he lost his job, and so for at least tomorrow, um, I've even picked him up in some fantasy leagues because we already got some bye symptoms that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And do you even know who that is? Why am I even forgetting his name? Because he doesn't really matter, but I'm going to start him anyway. But crap. Oh well,
I can't think of it either, actually.
not important.
Yeah.
But
Oh, fine.
The Patriots are at home, and they still have that Patriots defense. A lot of those players were holdovers, even from when Brady was there. But they still have okay, a good defense against a bad offense. Let's just say that.
Hmm.
So I could
Absolutely.
see
Yeah.
a 17-10 thing working out for the Patriots. They're at home, and in the Dolphins, until they show me that they can move the chains,
Hmm.
I am not going to take them no matter what. Even though you've got Waddle and healthy, he's in there, and you're going to have Tyreek going. But if you have a quarterback that doesn't have the confidence to just air it out and the
Oh, yeah.
pocket presence to be able to get open and be able to do that, we don't even. They don't really have a quarterback, and so I don't trust them to move the ball against a good defense. And so why would I take them? Let's take the Patriots.
Right. 100% agree. That is a good pick. Cleveland versus Washington. The Browns versus the Commanders. Commanders are a 3-point favorite at home. Um, no hook in this one. Browns have really not been good. And the Commanders have actually been really pretty good. Been played pretty good defense. They can move the ball. They don't ever punt apparently. I don't know, but I'm on the Commanders there.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I think he just jode me again, big time,
Yeah,
because everything you said was 100% true.
but Joe better up the middle, straight better.
Where are they playing? Washington.
I know.
What's the line? 3.
3. It's a
That's
home
not
field
even home
advantage.
field
Yeah.
advantage. I will take Deshaun Watson, old rub and tug himself, to show up. That team is going to do well. And I think that 44 is actually a better's line on the over.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points. I mean, if that's a lot of points, and but Deshaun has been horrible. He is just,
Yeah.
I don't know what his deal has been. He's looked that bad. He and Caleb Williams, I think, have just been the two biggest disasters at the quarterback position. It's amazing that they would still have jobs, let alone be, favored at home or whatever. But I like the Browns. I'm going to take the Browns tomorrow. They're only plus 135 on the money line. That doesn't, I mean, that's in the buy price. I don't like plus 140 and up, but I do see an absolute boatload of money going on the Commanders. Any way you can take it, whether
Mhm.
it be -3 or minus 160. Minus 160 is a low money line price for what we've seen, including a Monday night game. We know that Daniels is the real deal. The guy won a Heisman Trophy last year,
Mhm.
and the Browns, we've just seen them look lethargic and horrible, despite their good defense.
Yeah, we thought that was going to be a good
I see a
defense.
lot of points, and I like the Browns.
All right. Well said.
That doesn't mean anything. You can say anything. Well, I mean, gosh,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like you said, it makes sense. The Browns, we thought they were going to have a much better defense. We thought they were going to be a much better team overall. Um, running back is still a weak position for them currently without Chubb, and you do have Jerry Judy coming over in the trade, who's been pretty good, and of course Cooper. But yeah, we do have Njoku coming back this week. He's been out a few weeks, so maybe they get something going. Or maybe the NFL is rigged and scripted, and none of this matters. So
oh gosh, we would never say that here,
can't
though.
say that on this show. Vegas. We go into the late window games now. Vegas against Denver. Denver is a 3-point favorite at home. So this is basically the same forensics we just talked about. Not even a home field advantage for that home team.
And they've looked good. That defenses, man, they're
Yeah,
showing out big
yeah,
time in Denver.
yeah. I want to take Denver, but I don't want to be called Joe Better again, John.
Because I was going to call you Joe.
Yeah, I know. I'm staying away.
Therefore,
I'm staying away from. Well, I guess I go Vegas then. I'll go Vegas.
I like the Raiders, and in fact, they're only plus 125 on the money line, and at +3, they're minus 120. So that's not Joe taking the Raiders, because Joe would be taking the Denver Broncos because
Yeah.
they just they just took care of the Jets
Mm,
too. And this was
mhm.
after a big upset that we predicted
Yep.
the week before. So Denver definitely has, Joe wanting to get into them, and they've got a huge following, nationally, Denver. And so the Raiders on the road, yeah, for me, any way you can bet it. And I also like that. That's going to be a very low scoring game.
Mhm.
White, running back for the Raiders, he sucked. I mean, he's averaging 3 yards, but he's out. And
Yeah.
so you're going to have Madison. He's going to be probably a 3 down bell cow
Yeah.
because he's really good with his hands for the Raiders. I
Been
expect
there.
him, fantasy nerds, to have a huge game.
Yeah.
I was able to pick him up in a league, so
Yeah,
I'm
it's
starting
crazy,
him
right? Yeah.
in a flex. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I have White in a league. I think I dropped him actually because I was just like, I needed the roster spot. Arizona and San Fran here. San Fran was -7.5. I'm showing it's went down to 7. Are you showing similar things there, John?
Yeah,
Arizona +7.
you're right. It started 7.5. It's settled at 7, and that's fine.
Mhm.
But what I don't like on Bovada, I show +280 on the money line for Arizona throughout the week. So even though the money line went down, it's still +280. That's way too much at 7 points. So I know for a fact I like Frisco to win on the money line. So if you're in a confidence pool or a survivor, San Francisco, I believe, is probably the safest play on the slate. Yes. Will they cover? Yeah, I think they will. Uh, I think they're at home, so
Yeah.
why not? And at -7, they're -115. But that actually kind of scares me because if it's a straight line, I usually tend if it's a true line, I actually favor the -105 pick
Mhm.
over the -115. Here's why: because if there's an equal amount of bets or action on either side of a spread, what does Vegas want to pay out? Do they want to pay out the people who paid -105 for their money, or do they want to pay out the people that laid -115? They
Mhm.
want to pay out the -105 because -115, once they get it and don't have to let go of it, what's -115 minus 105? Well, okay, 115. It's 10. So they would actually get the full 10% vig. But if they're paying out all of the -115 money that they got, then that's how they lose money on a spread. So I like the points, but I like San Francisco to win the game on the money line. Therefore, I'm playing the middle.
Like
Not
it.
on this side and not on that side, but right in the middle. Who saw that movie? Where was that reference from? First person to comment. You're cool.
You heard it. Put it
I'll
down.
spare you that. It was Hot Dog, but that's like 1980 or 1981. Awesome movie. Kind of like Bad News Bears. A lot of
Mhm.
cool language that's been since canceled.
Ah,
So go
cancel
on back.
culture. Green Bay Packers.
TNA in that too, babies. All
Oh
right.
yeah.
And this is a family. Well, it's not even a family. This is way too highbrow for families. But anyway, we'll try to keep it clean.
All right, we got 4 minutes left, John. We got the Packers and the Rams. We got 4 games left too, so let's burn through these a little bit quicker. The Packers and the Rams. Packers are -3 on the road. I love Green Bay in this game.
So I follow you on that. Easy enough. I mean, they're on the road. Apply the
Mhm.
home field advantage. That would be -11 if it were in Green Bay. I would lay that. Yeah, solid.
Cool, love it. New York Giants at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are currently a 7-point favorite, and this line started a lot smaller, I believe. Um, but either way, I think that's probably a good fair line. If I had to lean one way, I'd probably take the Giants to cover. Um, not really a lot of forensics behind it on my side of things, but what do you think in that one?
I no, I'm with you. It's a fair line. It started at 6.5. The fact that it's been bet up is just a function of the fact that the Giants have been horrible. I love the receivers in the Giants, but their best one is actually out with a concussion. So that's probably why the money went up. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, well, Neighbors is out, so take the Seahawks. But I'm with you on the Giants. I think that Daniel Jones has been playing way too well to have 0 touchdowns last week, and they're kind of getting on him.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking this as even something on the money line that I would take. I would take the Giants on the money line as well as the points, but make sure you're putting 2 to 3 times as much on the points. Let's take the Giants.
I love it. Dallas, Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh minus 2.5 at home. I love the Cowboys. I've been on Pittsburgh every week. They finally don't get it.
Except week 1.
Oh, who was it? Well, who they play week 1?
I was on them in week 1.
Oh yeah. Well.
Yeah. But no, you're right. They've won every game. They're undefeated, and now they're at home, minus 2.5. So their defense has been great. Their offense has been good. Dallas hasn't had a good offense nor defense.
Yeah.
And so for that line to be not even 3.5 or 4 or 5 and even 5.5 if it was a buyer's line for Pittsburgh, I like Dallas as well to win the game. And you know what? I'm at 2.5. I'm going to take those points. Plus 125 isn't worth it because at 2.5, a buy price for me is usually plus 115. So that might be a carrot as well.
Yeah.
Take the 2.5. Those could be big.
Might need them instead of the money line. All right. Monday Night Football, New Orleans Saints, Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs minus 5.5 currently. Well, Chiefs are 4-0. Another primetime game for them. They've looked pretty good. Saints, rough couple weeks, after you thought they might be the best team in the NFL after the first 2 weeks, but when are you gonna celebrate? I think this might be the week where the Saints even win outright in KC. But I'm taking the points. Saints with the points.
I don't have a problem with that, especially given the injuries that KC has had. I think Kamara, even though he's still questionable, he needs a log of full practice today in order to make it. But even in KC, they've got a couple running back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire might even be back. But he needs the log of full practice. He's probably going to be out, which means Kareem Hunt. A lot of people picked him up. He might be good, but 5.5 is. I would play the points in this and just enjoy the game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and it's going to be a fun game on Monday night, and it's going to end up within that spread. I believe it's that way. I don't want to pick one team or other to win because either could win on any given Monday night.
Any given Monday. I like that.
What I got?
All right, cool. Well, and then you said we're going to come out with a baseball video. You've got a great take on a baseball video. The Padres in the Dodgers series in the game tonight. So look for that as well. That's going to be a great play. This is going to be an exciting week for us here. I think we're going to do really well. And let's just go enjoy the weekend and kill this week. Sound good?
Crush it, baby. Crush it.